We're going to begin the next set of verses. How about this? Because the screen is over here, and some of you are seated way over there, and unless you have reflecting glass or something, you're not going to be able to see the screen. So the ladies that are over here, come on in a little bit, and those of you that are off in peanut gallery have to come sit around over here. Could you come up forward? Because it's going to have to do this again anyway, so let's do it now. A little bit further, a little bit further. Come forward, come forward. Assuming that there will become people that will come a little late. Part 4. We're going to begin a new set of verses, or the next set of verses. We've covered the first 5 verses. And in the first 5 verses, there was both injunction and prohibition, vikalpa and sankalpa, something forbidden and something to do. And he's already identified the do, and it's very substantial presentation was made on what not to do. Now he's going to go further with the what not to do, the consequences of doing the not to do part. That's this class. Now, I thought to add something from the 5th verse of chapter 6. This is a nice devotee from the state of Washington. He's a university student, and he purchased a set of Srimad Bhagavatam from recently from Krishna Krishna. Parama Karuna. Parama Karuna. You get a very special seat, isn't that nice? Yeah, special seat. Best in the house. Yeah, she's kind. And you're honored. Special seat. So, when he received this set of Srimad Bhagavatams, he actually asked for it. He saw Parama Karuna on campus, and he approached him and asked, "Do you have Srimad Bhagavatam?" He said, "I just happen to have an extra set of Srimad Bhagavatam." And this is what the young man wrote. This is completely consistent with verse number 5 of Prahlada's teachings. While strength remains and the breath still moves freely, one must not delay in seeking what truly matters. To know right from wrong is a gift, but to live by that knowing is grace. Let us not wait for the body to weaken before we remember the spirit is eternal. While the lamp still burns, let it be turned toward the highest. Poetic and a very elevated person. Let's see what happens in his life from reading Srimad Bhagavatam. There's another nice reference. It's a book called A Course in Miracles, and this is also particularly selected because it's consistent with Prahlada's message. Let me not wander from the way of peace, for I am lost on other roads than this. But let me follow him who leads me home, and peace is certain as the love of God. Peace is certain as the love of God. Nice thing. You know, there are different traditions and different people from different perspectives perceiving the same thing. Again, re-emphasizing something that was stated in the first 5 verses. Here's a reference from Krishna to Uddhava. Maybe you recognize the scene. This is in Dwarka. And Uddhava, a dearmost devotee of Krishna, recognizes Krishna's mood. And Krishna's mood is he's soon going to depart from this world. His pastimes are about to end. And Akrura has come before him, appealing to Krishna to take him with him. So detachment from all this material. In Krishna's words, similarly, labdhava sudurlabham idam bahu sambhavante. Celebrated verse. After many, many births and deaths, one achieves the rare human form of life, which, although temporary, affords one the opportunity to attain the highest perfection. Sounds very similar to what we discussed, doesn't it? Thus, a sober human being should quickly endeavor for the ultimate perfection of life, as long as his body, which is always subject to death, has not fallen down and died. After all, sense gratification is available even in the most abominable species of life, whereas Krishna consciousness is possible only for a human being. Similar phrases in this Sanskrit as found in this verse. And very similar is chapter 5 of Canto 1, where Narada is instructing Vyasadeva. Very nice painting. They're way up in the Himalayas. Tasyaiva heto prayate kovido lalabhyate yad brahmatam uparyata talabhyate dukavad anyata sukham kalena sarvatra gabira ramhasa. You've probably heard this verse many times. I've heard this verse many, many times. Persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for that purposeful end which is not obtainable, even by wandering from the topmost planet Brahmaloka down to the lowest planet Patala. As far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time, just as in course of time we obtain miseries, even though we do not desire them. It's just same message. Verse number 3 of this section, prior section. Verse number 3 was saying happiness and distress accompany life, as long as you're alive. Some misery is going to come, some happiness is going to come. You don't have to strive for it, it will come. Now, these are the verses that we'll be discussing, at least several of the verses. Fate of an attached householder. This is a consequence of not following the unwanted things. Remember the two terms, sankalpa, vikalpa. Sankalpa is something that is wanted, and vikalpa is something that's to be discarded. The attached householder cannot liberate oneself, tightly bound by a strong rope of affection for wife, children, relatives, and home, and everything else. Since his mind is affected by Krishna consciousness, Prahlada marveled at how the world goes on, being fully absorbed in the activity of sense gratification. Of course, this is a modern picture of, some urban place, with like Times Square or something. How is human life misused? We heard this. Remember the boys recited? 100 years of human life wasted by 50 years of sleep. That's a lot of sleep. 20 years of childhood sporting 20 years of old age and invalidity. Within that 100 years, increasing attachment to family with strong ropes of affection to spouse, children, etc. The attached household becomes like a silkworm. We didn't read that one, but that's coming. Silkworm, which weaves a cocoon in which it becomes imprisoned, unable to get out. And then concluding this section. So, what person too attached to household life, due to being unable to control his senses, can liberate himself? An attached householder is bound very strongly by ropes of affection for his family, wife, children, and other relatives. So, affection is applauded. What's life without affection? It's death. So, it's honored. At the same time, the principle is towards what end? We discussed this. Towards what end? What's the objective of the attachment? And if the attachment is to the temporary, then that's the bondage of Maya, and attachment, same attachment to the eternal, same attachment. It's not like in Krishna conscious household life, you're supposed to be detached from one another. But when the attachment is focused upon attaining the eternal through the medium of applying the temporary towards achieving the eternal, then that's the right, that's the proper reality. I don't know if you have had the chance. There's one of Hari Parshad Prabhu's very articulate seminars was recently given at the Govardhan retreat in Vrindavan, and he discusses this topic like thoroughly, backwards and forward, of the asat and sat. Now, there's the Upanishadic recommendation: go for the sat. But in the process of going for sat, or striving for sat, or striving for light, if one is not qualified, then what is it? It's artificial. And because who doesn't have some affinity for the temporary? We have temporary bodies, and we have to do things to maintain the body, etc., etc., etc. So affinity for the temporary is natural. And then if that's what's natural, then how do you go beyond that which is natural? Because it's natural. And therefore, the advocacy, regardless of cloth or color of cloth, is accepting a proper position for oneself. Please come on in, because the screen is over here. Look at this. We saved you a front row seat. You know, we can't put your back to the screen, because then you won't be able to see the screen. Welcome. Thank you, sir. Different individuals have different propensities. And there's a very nice example. Here's a nice example. Gadadhar Pandit, one of the Panchatattva members, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. So Gadadhar Pandit was the same age as Nimai Pandit. And like Nimai Pandit, he had, from childhood, he had zero affinity for things that serve. He was notorious for being detached. He didn't have aversion, he just was detached. He had no affinity for what little boys like to do. No, he was a different kind of little boy. And when he was about 10 years old, his family moved to Navadvip, and he became a dear, close friend of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And around the same age was another devotee named Mukunda. Mukunda was an associate of Lord Chaitanya, and he was a very good singer, like super singer. Those of you that know the Gaur Arti song, his name is mentioned. He was the one that would lead the singing, because he was a super gifted singer. So he, Mukunda, invited Gadadhar to come with him and meet someone that came from the same village that he came from. Now, Mukunda knew that Gadadhar was totally detached. This person that he knew from his childhood place was Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Pundarik Vidyanidhi made his best effort publicly to conceal his spiritual elevation. He didn't like fanfare and people, praising him and things like that. He didn't like that. So he concealed it by externally looking as if he was a gross sense gratifier. So when they came to see Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he recognized Mukunda because they were from the same place. And he was seated on a big sea with perfumes and paraphernalia and drinking glasses and hookah pipe and, stuff like, fancy clothes and big cushions and pillows. And Mukunda Gadadhar didn't say anything, but he thought, why did he bring me here? This is the exact opposite of me. I don't want anything to do with this person. I want to leave. That was his kind of disdain for worldly gratifications. But Mukunda knew the person, Pundarik Vidyanidhi. So he sang a verse from about Putana, the 10th canto, chapter 2, I think, verse. And he sang the verse. And as he sang the verse, Pundarik Vidyanidhi swooned in a state of ecstasy. He fell from his seat. He started rolling on the ground, crying, wailing, his hair standing on end, and calling Krishna's name, and then he lost external consciousness. And it was not pretense. It wasn't an act. It was his sentimental state of ecstasy. Just hearing about Krishna in this way, it wasn't just Mukunda's good singing voice. So, the heart of Gadadhar completely changed. And when Pundarik Vidyanidhi came to external consciousness, he apologized to him. He said, "This is what I was thinking, but my mistake, a big offense on my side. Please forgive my offense." And Pundarik just smiled and made nothing of it. In other words, he was excused from his offense. And some days later, Gadadhar accepted Harinam Diksha, or Mantra Diksha, from Pundarik Vidyanidhi. was such an elevated Vaishnava. But the elevated Vaishnava, he couldn't tell from the outside because he was concealing purposefully his elevated condition. So it doesn't matter the color of one's cloth. It matters the disposition of heart towards the personality of Godhead. And if one doesn't heed the advice, go the other direction. The advice of Prahlada is becoming too much attached. We discussed this point. Attachment is fine. Too much attached is not fine. What's too much attached? Where it blocks bhakti. It blocks one's affinity for the personality of Godhead. So an advanced Vaishnava, we're not advanced Vaishnavas, by the way, but advanced Vaishnava sees everything in relation to Krishna. Say it negatively. There isn't something that they see that they don't see in relation to Krishna. So seeing home and family and wife and children and paraphernalia and whatever. There's in relation to Krishna, there's reason for attachment, and not in relation to Krishna. It's advised against, because that's the too much attached. So it's a razor's edge, and one has to be very careful when you have a razor, because razors can cut, not just shave. There's a purpose of a razor, very, very, very sharp razor. There's a purpose. So the Yukta Vairagya, well, this is Rupa Goswami's way of saying what this says. There's a false renunciation and there's proper renunciation. The proper renunciation is things in relation to Krishna should be seen in relation to Krishna. And then engage in service to Krishna according to the nature of that something, because it's meant to be used in Krishna's service. So as long as we have material bodies, there's going to be affinity for that which is of this realm. Here we are. Now, how to direct that from the conditioned state to the liberated state? By engaging that in relation to Krishna and Krishna's service. There we go. Money is so dear that one conceives of money as being sweeter than honey. This is Prahlada to his classmates. Therefore, who can give up the desire to accumulate money, especially in household life? Thieves, professional servants or soldiers, and merchants try to acquire money even by risking their very dear lives. That's Prahlada's teaching. Here's comment. The core of one's heart is immersed in how to accumulate money. Even at the cost of one's dear life, one doesn't hesitate in cheating others. So that's the unrestricted materialist. That's when the pendulum swings way over on that side. And then there's the pendulum that swings way over on the other side. Prahlada, by the way, Prahlada became a householder. Prahlada became married and became a king. And when his father was killed, Lord Nrsingadev wanted Prahlada to become the next king, to replace his father. And he said, no thanks. And I've seen what the wealth and the power and the influence and the possessions, and in a moment it's gone. So I don't want that position. And then the advice was, you're the qualified person to have that position, because you won't be attached to it. You'll use it in the Lord's service. So that's the right kind, and this is the wrong kind. So this whole section is the perils of being too much attached. So here's the verse. The attached householder is like a silkworm, which weaves a cocoon and becomes imprisoned, unable to get out. That's some images of, there's a silkworm. You know how the procedure works. People cultivate silkworms and have them make silk, and then they kill the silkworm to get the silk. That's not nice. Simply for the satisfaction of two important senses, genitals and tongue, one is found through material conditions. Here's the verses where this is discussed in the Bhagavatam. This is verses 11, but it's 12 through 13. How can a person who is most affectionate to his family, the core of his heart being always filled with their pictures, give up their association? Specifically, a wife is always very kind and sympathetic and always please her husband in solitary place. Who could give up the association of such a dear and affectionate wife? Small children talk in broken language, very pleasing to hear, and their affectionate father always thinks of their sweet words. How could he give up their association? One's elderly parents and one's sons and daughters are also very dear. A daughter is especially dear to a father, and while living at her husband's house, he is always on his mind. Who could give up that association? Aside from this is verses from Prahlada. Aside from this, in household affairs, there are many decorated items of household furniture, and there are also animals and servants. Who could give up such comforts? The attached householder is like a silkworm, which weaves a cocoon in which it becomes imprisoned, unable to get out, simply for the satisfaction of two important sentences on the screen. Bound by material conditions. The silkworm builds a little home. A little home is what comes from his own body, presumably from ingredients like a spider, from the saliva of the spider. So comes the web of the spider. So similarly, the cocoon from a silkworm comes from their body, and then they make themselves a little home. No, that's what's on the right side. And then we build it and build it and build it. They keep building it and building it, and they get trapped inside, imprisoned, unable to get out. The silkworm. One fails to understand the purpose of human life and wastes time. Now, there are different ways of doing this, but something that I've found is effective is when interacting with college students, to ask the college students to think, why are you doing this? The answer is you do well academically, so you can get a good job, so you can get some money when you get a good job, then you get a wife, when you get a home, you get children, you get entanglement. And is that really the purpose? Now, the best time to understand the purpose, according to the earlier verse, and some verses already spoken by Krishna to Uddhava, is from the early stages of life. Therefore, those that are parents or will become parents, it's important to pass on that understanding, not in an artificial way, but in a practical way, as Prahlada is doing here with his classmates. Now, there was a question that I didn't have an answer to. Someone asked, what happened to these boys that got these nice lessons in bhakti from Prahlada? Well, later he became the king, so most likely they were assisting him in some way in the kingdom, but as devotees rather than asuras, because that was the kingdom of asuras was before that. And the human form of life should not waste time. So many things Prabhupada spoke about the value of time. One moment that passes, you can offer whoever you want any amount of money, millions of dollars to get that moment back, and you won't get it back. Gone. And the human form of life, we've been hearing, it's temporary. It's certainly temporary. How long we're going to stay is there's some clock ticking and tick, 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 and then it's over. And you can't get that time back. And what happens after this human form of life, who knows? It could be up, could be down, could be another human form, maybe not. We don't know. And as Kali Yuga, as the age progresses, things become more degraded just by the circumstance of time. It's just how time is working. And then what? And then what? So the waste of time will never be gotten back. Although one always suffers from the threefold miseries, one does not develop a distaste for the way of material existence. There's a nice painting, looks like someone with a cane, looks like maybe Prabhupada, looking at people who are suffering in the material world, and up top he's seeing not just how they're suffering in the material world, but he's seeing Super Soul within, and Super Soul is sanctioning whatever it is that it's transpiring in their lives, and according to their karma, according to their deserve. They're getting good fortune or ill fortune. And even if one is good fortune person, the affluence that's needed, etc., 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 there's still disease, there's old age, and there's death. And then again, another birth. These four problems are not solved by material prosperity. We had this discussion today on Christianity because it's Easter Day, Easter Sunday. What is the destiny for those persons? What's the fruit for those persons who are good? They live by good values and good principles. What's their destination? Seeing the material life as a place of misery is what the advocacy of Bhagavad Gita, dukkhalaya shashvatam. We're making plans to get happiness and then executing those plans, and somehow something else happens. Dukkha instead of sukha. It's the nature of the place. Dukkhalaya shashvatam. It's limited and temporary. Bereft of knowledge of the Lord, they are bewildered and overcome by ignorance. Even there's a sadhu trying to be a sadhu, and this fellow looks a little bewildered. And he's trying to find happiness. Maybe he's trying to find happiness in a book of education method, but bewildered by the outcome. It's not happening the way it's supposed to, according to the textbook, supposed to happen. And one may become just lost and bewildered. Poor fellow. So here's some additional verses I'm going to read, starting with text 16. O my friends, sons of demons, in this material world, even those who are apparently advanced in education have the propensity to consider, this is mine, and that is for others. Thus, they are always engaged in providing the necessities of life to their families in a limited conception of family life, just like an uneducated cat and dog. They're unable to take spiritual knowledge. Instead, they're bewildered and overcome by ignorance. I think I misplaced that picture. Just showed the fellow with the book here. And this is this series of verses describing the outcome if one doesn't heed the warning of what to be avoided, the materialistic way of life. And then the consequence is the asura propensity becomes stronger. It's devoid of God consciousness, devoid of God centeredness, than the demoniac way of life. And it's abundant around us. Addicted to sense gratification, unable to liberate himself from material bondage, keeps aloof the advice Prahlad's teachings to his friends, classmates, keep aloof from such persons. Shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. So this is in Prabhupada's purport also, and it's the teachings of Prahlada. So by hopefully, by hearing and recognizing these things that Prahlada is saying, they're not only true for children, they're true for all of us. There's a way to become free from material bondage. There's the danger of material bondage and the way to become free from material bondage. The way to become free from material bondage is not just to reject it. There are teachings that teach reject it. Or Jagat Nitya, the impersonalist, has this teaching or ideology. Real happiness is not found in the temporary, so just call it false and reject it and live a life of abnegation. That's not recommended in the Bhagavatam. It's not recommended because it's artificial. We had this nice discussion let's begin this discussion. Is it possible for those who are pursuing real happiness by this process of negation to experience real happiness? Is it possible to achieve Brahma Sukh or spiritual happiness without bhakti? Is it possible? Some voice here is saying no. Does any voice here want to say yes? No, everyone is saying no. We had nice discussion. There's multiple references that indicate, it's right in Bhagavad Gita, multiple references saying there is a spiritual happiness by contact with Brahman. That the happiness, the cessation of material misery. And that's a kind of happiness. Within the realm of the eternal, there's the cessation of material. This is moksha. And in the stage of moksha, that which is aspired for by the impersonalist, there's a happiness. That the lure. But it's selfish. It's my liberation. And therefore, because of that spirit, I'm going to read through the verse from Bhagavad Gita that says exactly this. And where did he read it from? Did you see something? What a very bad news. It's one of the things that happens in Kali Yuga and also happens with aging, with memory. Just my phone remembers. Bhagavad Gita 5:5. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees such analytical study and devotional service to be at the same level, these things as they are. So, when by the process of negation, the material misery is reduced, it can be reduced to the point where one is now in contact with the spiritual realm. One can be in contact with the Brahma Jyoti and have actual experience and realization of the Brahma Jyoti. And that's the preliminary happiness. Prabhupada likens it to, interesting, banging your head against the wall. And when you stop banging your head against the wall, you feel some relief. Brahma Sutra. No, there's a happiness. There's no shelter in that realm of striving and striving to dial down and dial down the material affinity to the point where there's now just spiritual affinity. There is such a position. But it's not sustainable. It's temporary. For our next evening class, I'll find out those scriptural references because we were reading it from the purport itself. There's a spiritual happiness that comes from realization of Brahman, and more complete, less complete. More complete is the realization of Paramatma, and complete is the realization of Bhagavan. The realization of Bhagavan comes about as a result of connecting with the Supreme Person, and the happiness of the Supreme Person becomes the happiness of the servant of the Supreme Person. There's a reciprocation, and therefore it's sustainable. But the happiness that comes from the process of negation, it's limited and temporary. So it's still on, it's on the spiritual platform, but it's limited and temporary, as opposed to unlimited and permanent. Aruya Krishchena Param Padam Tada Patantyato Nadrada Yusvaram, the verse from the Prophet. It says those that attain this position of spiritual realization, they can stay there for a while, but they become restless because they want activity, they want relationship, they want to love and be loved. Those are natural spiritual positions. The idea, so far, the main idea that's being presented in Prahlada's teachings is to his classmates and to us is the importance, and then even stronger than the importance, the necessity of directing one's attention to the Supreme. He's a Vishnu Bhakta, and he's learned Vishnu Bhakti from Narada Muni. Or one can say he's learned Vishnu Bhakti because he's an eternal associate of Lord Vishnu in the spiritual world. He's a Vaikunthavasi. Yeah, I think that's where we were reading in the Bhagavatam from in Houston. That's his position. And he understands it, and he sees when others are not connecting with Lord Vishnu in that way, they're presently miserable, and they're paving the way for further misery. And he wants to do something. So he's doing something. He's risking his safety to do that something. He's risking his life for the welfare of others, because his father has already made it very clear, Hiranyakashipu has made it very clear, I'm not going to tolerate this. and to the point of being prepared to try to kill him. And he couldn't kill him. He was totally frustrated. So humans are like that. And addicted to sense gratification, they'll do anything. Addicted persons with addiction, they'll do anything. And they're dangerous person, addicted person. One may want to do something to help them, but Prahlada's defensive medicine to help them. And those who are addicted to material enjoyment of one kind or another, or there's different varieties of addiction, but material addiction is how he's describing even that which is considered normal addiction to the temporary. One becomes mad. One's real intelligence is lost. And that person can't help themselves, like the silkworm. They weave themselves into a situation where they're trapped. They can't see the way out. There's the clinical depression. There's statistics that show how many persons, 50 years ago, were in the category CDC. You know what CDC is from the pandemic period of time. Clinical depression is rising rapidly, and then people become addicted to antidepressants and pills or some kind of artificial something. Why is that a phenomena? Why and what to do? People need to read the Bible. People need to know how to connect with the Supreme. People need preachers and exemplars that are showing by their example in families and and in and about our community. People that are wholesome and they know how to live their life. In the course of this visit, I met one teenager who was confiding they're in that state. Like not standing at the edge of a cliff looking over, but feeling, overwhelming negative emotions. And they're bright and from a good family and this and that and the other things. So what I'm saying is, this is not so far distant, and it's becoming more and more so. So, what's the solution? There's a why. The silkworm metaphor is a nice example. On too much attached to the temporary, with no clue. You can't just sever that attachment and make it zero. It's that which is appropriate. In engaging in things of this world, yukta vairagya, there's a risk. You engage yourself and you become attached. So how to engage yourself in a wholesome way and not become attached? There has to be a place of attachment. And if it's not the supreme, then it's going to be stuck. The temporary. So what's the culture that brings one closer to the affinity for the supreme? Household life has a big advantage. One, because it's natural for the attachments to develop. And then it's also very natural that the family unit can become wholesome when there's sufficient spiritual activity in the home. Now, in addition to the temple, but in the home. I'll give a little example. I'm going to stop. During this visit to Houston, I was in Texas for almost a month. I spent some time with an elderly couple. Their husband and wife are 80 years old, and it was around the time of Ram Navami, and so I asked them. It was mainly the wife that was speaking. The husband was listening to the conversation. Uh, this is Ram Navami coming. Are you Krishna Bhakta or Ram Bhakta? And she said, I have an affinity for both. Then she described, she remembers when she was a very little girl, like 3, 4 years old. She and some other young girls her age would sit at the feet of grandmother, and grandmother would recite from the Ramayana. I don't know what version of Ramayana, who knows what it was. And she can't remember the details, but she remembers the feeling of connection with Ramachandra, in part because the topic was Ramayana, and his mother, her grandmother, felt some affection for Ramayana, for Lord Ramachandra, and because of that, it went in, and their whole life has been, virtuous, in part because of that which went in when she was little. And similarly, the husband, just having parents or a grandmother or elders that were devotional, and along with the devotional comes good quality. The virtue and values of a person who is devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they naturally follow, especially when it's genuine. And from, like it's to being described here, the early age of childhood, it helps shape the character so that when that young child becomes in public school, and they're in public school and they see others that have different values than theirs, and they have to make some choices in that kind of associations of what they're going to do. If they have a core, then they make decisions based upon that position which they know. If it's not strong, then they can become susceptible. A good person can become corrupted by unwholesome association. And actually, in parents, bringing up your children, you have that concern. It's natural. So then, association with others. It was really nice what was arranged for the children to recite verses from the first 10 verses of Canto 6, first of Canto 6. And who knows if they're going to remember what they recited? And it's not what's important. I mean, it's nice if they can, but just that act of directing their attention to Prahlada Maharaj and hearing his words and hearing it enough times so they can recite it. Something, there's some spiritual potency, substantial spiritual potency in that sound vibration, and it's elevating. So that's speaking of the children, then the adult. How to maintain a direction in life when you're involved in so many, 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 many duties and responsibilities and obligations and earning and maintaining and taxes and laws, and it is a complex life. This discussion came the other day. If you don't have something that core, something else is going to take its place. And materialism is going to take its place by default. And if you have that core, then the core can spiritualize the rest. At least by maintaining it over a period of time, it has a very profound spiritual impact. Now, all of you know these things. That's why you're here. But it's good to hear them anyway, even you know these things, because there's a purpose behind. Again, it's like the kids in college. What's the purpose? Is there a purpose besides the obvious external material? And supposing you don't get it, then what? Supposing you do get it, then what? What's the purpose? Is there a purpose? Is there? And if you don't have a sense of purpose, if you don't ask the question, you're not going to get the answer. If you do ask the question, maybe you'll get the answer. And you read scriptures and ask the question, you're going to get the answer. And then living by it, that's another. Like this college kid in Washington State not only has proper values, but lives by them. That's a young man that has his lights on. And he's going places, good places. And he's going to lead people because of his convictions towards. So, as members of a community, good to have your lights on and know where you're going and why you're going there. We had this discussion. This is the why question. Yes. Kane Upanishad. Let's see if there's some discussion.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, just like I was talking to one of the boys yesterday who were reciting Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Then I was asking, what is your favorite reading? The boy said, Ramayana. I was asking, who is your favorite character? He said, Lord Ramachandra. I asked, why not Lakshman? Then he said, you know what, Lord Ramachandra, he accepted 14 years of exile very happily. And Lakshman was, so Ramachandra, he was obedient to his father. And Lakshmana, he was ready to kill Mother Kaikeyi. But he was ready to kill Mother Kaikeyi. But Ramchandra, he wanted, he basically, because his, this exile, so he, was obedient and happily accepted this. So I was just wanted to share this because you said, that you had that conversation with that mother, right? She was like 3 years old.
Yeah.
So those, the culture and those sanskar, from the very beginning of the life, the children's getting. So just wanted to share that.
Nice. Having that association is a great portion. As you're sharing, let me share something with you. You were in the class today at the temple, yes? Did you attend today's class at the temple? Way over against the wall was that American fellow that said about his parents and Christian, and remember that discussion? They were Catholics and they had rosary, and remember that discussion? Say yes or no. Who came late? This came at the question and answer session. Yeah. So you heard the question. He came up later and described that his parents, he said it like 4 times, my parents met Prabhupada 5 times. And from the very first time, my mother met Prabhupada. She was very, staunch Catholic. She said, this is a genuine holy man. And so he started following something other than what the staunch family was doing, and she was happy because he was following. Then, having him around, she became a vegetarian. So he was just sharing. The mother continued cooking for her husband because the husband didn't want to become vegetarian, but she started chanting. And she was chanting with her son. So she became impacted, going out in concentric circles out by Prabhupada's association, and the association with one who had given his life to Prabhupada. So association is and the activities, the bhajana kriya activities of those that are dedicated in devotion, it has power, this life-changing power. And who can say, like this young man that who gave this little statement, who knows what his association was in childhood, but probably someone. And this young man that you referred to, and this devotee that I don't know who he was, but his life changed by Prabhupada. So there's power in very simple activities. There's reason to come together like we're doing on a Sunday evening, on Easter Sunday, and hearing topics from Prahlada Maharaj, because they're not dissimilar from other devotional teachings, but there's potency coming from pure devotee. And it's lasted a long, long, long time. Look how pure was Prahlada. Okay, back to what this young boy said yesterday. Ramayana. Okay. Anybody else? You'd like to discuss something or share something? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, all glories to you, Srila Prabhupada and you. I just want to share one thing. One of my friends, she went to New Vrindavan. They used to eat non-veg and everything, but she asked me, like, she saw the picture and she said, I want to go that place. That's very beautiful. And today only when I talked to her, I came to know that she left everything, and she's chanting 16 rounds, and she's inspiring with Radhanath Maharaj. And she was telling me that it's just because the day when we were there for 3 days or 4 days, I was in Kirtan, I was listening lectures, and I don't know what brings me here. Now I feel that, that place makes so many changes for me and my family. And last month when we went to see their house, I see the way they were chanting. I also get inspired. In the morning, they were fully devotionally, like all family member was sitting. They had the chanting beats and then closing their eyes and they were chanting. So I also get inspired, like, seeing them, and I was so happy too. So I just want to share, like, how they just went to the Vrindavan, even though she was not aware of anything. So I just want to share.
Thank you.
I have a small question, Maharajas. You were talking about detachment. Sometimes, like when we are surrounding with our loved ones, things happen and we try to explain them, but we show our patience, but again and again, circumstances and things happen. So it's very hard to ourselves, like, I don't know how to control ourselves and stay in this, not to be stressed and stay on the same.
Well, when there's verses in Bhagavad Gita that give the answer, but the principle is when there's a place of shelter, you're safe. And when you're in a place of shelter and you're safe, you can feel, it's a fact, you can feel that the impact of duality is acting less upon you. When you have a genuine place of shelter, then you're protected by that place of shelter. And you can then be a rather than reacting to consistent or repeated unpleasantries, you can be an agent for change just by having a place of shelter and acting from that place of shelter. That is, you making choices, consistently making choices when you're striving for the purpose. This is the purpose topic again, the purpose that Krishna should be pleased. And if that's a consistent choice, conscious choice that you make, even in the circumstances that you're now describing, conflict situations or rubbing against one another situations by close proximity, it happens, and you can remain in the pleasing Krishna disposition because that's your way of life. So, again, if one doesn't have that, there's going to be some other shelter. There's going to be some other place of attachment. And that's, I'm right, or it's a false ego position. And someone confronts another's false ego, and then you get anger and other negative displays of behavior and speech. And then say something and do things that one regrets later if they have, a moral compass. And then you find yourself apologizing. So try to cultivate, the advice is find a place of shelter and cultivate that place of shelter where it's actually shelter. You're safe there. And then from that place of safety, you can act in the world around you, the close and the medium and far away world around you, acting in such a way that it's pleasing to your place of shelter, to Krishna. Krishna Bhakti has that power to protect you and to protect others around you and influence others in a positive way. By Krishna Bhakti, it has that power. So by faith and by consistently striving, the essence of what Bhakti is, that's the purpose. Therefore, this definition of Bhakti, I'm sure you know what it is. You know the Rupa Goswami's definition of Bhakti? Anyabhinasha Shunyam. You know the verse? Jnana karma dinavritam. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. Bhakti Uttama. You know the verse, right? It's power. There's a power in Bhakti. And the Bhakti power is that Krishna is Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. That's what Bhakti isn't, and that's what Bhakti is. And that's, you cultivate Bhakti, and you've got the answer to your question. It's built within the Bhakti itself. Because there's satisfaction from within. When there's satisfaction within, disturbance can be without. It's going to be there. Duality is there. Sometimes and sometimes. Not too much elated and not too much distressed when there's what's inevitable by having a material body. You're okay. And you can be an agent to lift others that get it in the negative emotion space to feel relief from that negative emotion and be transformed. I like the picture of you. Anyone else? Yeah.
I want to confirm, correctly understand. So, Jnana, My understanding was that Jnana Yoga, if somebody is practicing Jnana Yoga, even for them, they need to have an element of bhakti to support to get the perfection of Jnana itself.
No. Well, perfection of jnana itself. Then what does that mean? The stage perfection of jnana itself is bhakti. But the jnana has the power to propel one beyond the miseries of material existence into the realm of sat. We had this nice discussion. Yeah, I'm happy to entertain the discussion, but there's ample scriptural evidence that says you can attain the realm of sat without a touch of bhakti, but it's unstable, it's limited, and temporary. But that you're saying the perfection of jnana, no, without bhakti you won't get the perfection of jnana, because perfection of jnana is bhakti when it's perfect. Yes. Okay, looks like we're done. You have something?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Um, it's really, really beautiful the way Prahlada Maharaj has given the instructions, stressing on not to waste this life and use the time wisely. My question is that not being there, using every moment in Krishna's service, one may be trying my best to use it, and also seeing whom I'm assisting and dependents and all, helping them to or setting an example for them, trying that is also. So even though I have a heart of helping, but one may say that I'm not there yet, and I doesn't want to take any steps. So how can what could be my response to that kind of a situation?
I'm confused by your question, because it sounds like you're speaking first person singular, and then you're saying, how do I respond to that question? It's like you're having a dialogue with yourself.
Sorry. What I'm saying is that I'm trying in my own way.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect,
Okay.
but still I'm trying to assist others also in whatever the way, little way. Then so in this assisting others, if at all one is saying that I'm not there to,
Someone else is telling you. Okay.
yes, so I'm not there to practice properly. So without taking the effort to take that step of putting our effort, how can it be possible to get to that sadhya stage?
How can it be possible to what's the punchline?
Get to the using all the time in Krishna service.
Well, people make choices. You're making yours, and someone else is making theirs, and another person is making theirs. So it sounds like the question is, how do you fan the spark? Yes? No? Kind of. Well, if someone says, complacency is my lifestyle, thank you. And don't bug me. I appreciate you bugging me, but don't bug me, because you're going to get some pushback. so don't bug me. But y- you're striving, and I'm complacent. So if someone is a little obstinate like that, okay. And what's going to happen? They're going to suffer by complacency because we want happiness. We don't want complacency. Complacency means you're going up, you're going down. So when the down pinch, they say, ouch, then they be ready to stop being complacent. But, there's consequences for choices that someone makes, each of us makes. And when those consequences come by nature's design, you don't want to see that person undergo some hardship. You want to see them, but if they're got their arms across their chest and saying, "Look," or not harsh, but just like, I'm not there yet, and that's the way it is, and I'm not. Then you can be, Prahlada speaking to his classmates. There's consequences. And that if you're not attached to going forward, then you're going backward. Then you're like the silkworm. You're getting attachments to the temporary, and it's because of that or due to the complacency. And as a well-wisher, I don't wish that for you. Yes, I get the idea. You don't wish that for me. But complacency is my choice. What should we do? Find something that they like and do that something with them, or encourage them into something that they like to do. And providing a environment that's conducive to taking steps in the bhakti direction of life. Our host, you want to contribute to this discussion? I thought so.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for your kind presence here. This is the second time you are so kind on us. Hare Krishna. So there's a little story behind me and my wife Sangeeta. Raise your hand, please, Sangeeta. So we have been visiting New Vrindavan for many years now. 2001 was our first visit, but never had taken things so seriously. So it all happened 4 years back, and it was 1 week after Janmashtami. There were some celebrations going on, and this deity that we all see here today, this deity was used for the Abhishekam. And then Sunday afternoon we are coming home, and we just went to the gift shop to buy some incense sticks and all, and I don't know what happened to me and my wife. It looks like Radha Krishna, they were meant for us. So they just came with us, our home.
How'd that happen?
I don't know, it was just a...
Wait a minute, I don't know.
So looks like, they said, well, I have to go my home, so they came home. And our life has changed since the day they are here. Our life revolves around their seva, their service.
It's obvious. Just
and,
walking in here, I mean, the paintings on the wall and
yeah.
the prominence of the altar and everything.
Well, there have been devotees from New Vrindavan had been very kind on us to have this ship this beautiful altar. And these pictures, beautiful pictures we see here, they are from one Mataji named, she from Alachua, and she is from Ukraine, Gandharvi Kadas. She left her body, but before
that she painted some beautiful pictures. And we fell in love with these pictures. There are many other pictures, but we fell
Are
in love
these
with
copies or these are the originals?
their copies.
Okay.
Their copies. Yeah, they're selling. Then they have a master copy, and then I just could not resist from looking at this picture. So we ordered them, and then we have them mounted here. Beautiful picture. We like for me, I say I get up every day now these days 4:30, attend Mangal Aarti with New Vrindavan. So I wake up our deities. They are Radha Vrindavan Shri Ras Bihari. That's our deity. Our life is just around them. In my childhood, Maharaja, I have seen Prabhupada. When I was 9 years old, he had just gone back from USA to India, and in New Delhi he was having this pandal and celebration, and he was surrounded by the white elephant, as he used to call. I still remember a vivid memory of him sitting with a cross leg, and so I am a Bengali. So our association with Lord Chaitanya is by birth, but Bengalis, as you might be knowing, they are fish eaters, and but for last couple of years we have just given away. Even onion garlic also is not used in this house anymore.
Well, you can't with Father Krishna. Because
It's all gone. So, well, my question is, I have been attending Mangal Aarti consistently these days, 16 rounds, and but Maya, this Miss Maya is sometimes troublesome. Miss Maya keeps hampering. What are the indication, Guru Maharaj, that might give me consolation that I am not getting overcome by Maya? I am trying to be very consistent, getting up morning, doing Mangal Aarti and 16 rounds and all these things, reading books. I have subscribing to Back to Godhead books from Alachua, reading that. But sometimes I feel that, Maya is taking me away. So what else, with your kindness, please guide us.
There's
Please help us find a way.
There's many answers to that question. One nice answer to that question is found in a seminar that I've given 3 times. I'm going to be giving one more time in Houston over the Thanksgiving holiday. And it's a description of Canto 3, Chapter 29, Kapila Dev's teaching to Devahuti on pure devotional service. And he mentions, listen to this. This don't hold on to your sock. He says persons who worship the deity and do not have proper respect for others, they're pretenders. There's a Sanskrit word that's translated like that. They're pretenders. And then the pretense comes in 4 different categories, according to the acharyas that comment on this little section of Kapila Dev's teaching. Because the topic is, what is devotion, what's pure devotion, and what are the obstacles of pure devotion? Because that's your question, the obstacle. Now, there are different ways of analyzing what are the obstacles. This particular reference is one. There's other particular references, because you're asking what's the Maya that's got a hold of me and won't let go. It's not that Maya won't let go; it's you won't let go of Maya. So it's Maya acts. The illusory energy acts upon the soul that wants the illusory energy to act upon the soul. In other words, Maya is under Krishna's direction, and Krishna can say, this is what they want, give them what they want. Or Krishna can say, Maya, please leave them alone because they want me. So therefore there's tests for how much you want Krishna. And if you say yes to Maya instead of saying no to Maya, then Maya is going to be there. So, but it's not there for what to do. The why is there's impurities in the heart, unwanted things, anarthas, stuff that's unwanted. And there's the stage of bhakti, anartha nivritti, that eradicates unwanted things. So it's affinity for the unwanted. But you know that. That's what Maya is. Affinity for the unwanted. So what do you do when there's affinity for the unwanted and you're trying to go beyond the unwanted? You make sincere efforts, as you described you're doing, towards Krishna. And you wait patiently for Krishna's mercy. As you move towards light, darkness is dissipated. So continue moving towards light. So it's two things. It's the effort and calling upon mercy from the merciful. And he's merciful, so he'll be merciful. But the degree to which that mercy is coming into your life to dispel the affinity for the temporary, that's the relationship between you and Krishna. And you demonstrate, so that the assignment is you demonstrate to Krishna that you want Krishna. Even when the affinity continues, you're saying yes to Krishna. And when there are opportunities, when the line is drawn, you're making choices, you choose not. Instead, you choose Krishna. Fill where that Maya creeps in, find the activities of bhakti that give you strength, and from that strength you can say no to Maya and yes to Krishna. I'm going to tell a little Prabhupada story and then take the microphone away from you. Take the microphone. So this is Prabhupada in the Henry Street Temple, Brooklyn. And Prabhupada is, the Vyasa-san is way up in the air at this particular visit. And he's speaking on this question, on this topic that you're raising. Krishna may examine. You say to Krishna, Krishna, I am yours. From this day forward, I am yours. Like, the statement in Ramayana, where Ramchandra says, one who makes that statement, from this day forward, I am yours, I will always protect them. That's my promise. Right? Ramayana. So, Prabhupada's on the Vyasa-san. And someone may say like that to Krishna or to Ramachandra, I want to be your devotee. I want no other thing than your devotion. Akinchanatvam. I'm yours exclusively. I'm dedicated to you. So then Krishna may say, this is Prabhupada and Vyasa-san, then Krishna may say, does he really want me? What if I give him a little sense gratification? And Prabhupada's voice went like that. And then the devotee, Prabhupada made a hand motion. No, I only want you. Maybe they really want me. What if I give them a little difficulty? And then the devotee will say to Krishna, you can do with me whatever you like, but I want your shelter only. And then Krishna may say, oh, he really wants me. Then let me give myself to him. It's not playfulness. He's not playing games with you. He's examining. Krishna is examining your orientation, your disposition of heart, and he wants, and he knows how to extract that want and amplify it. So that's what you need to do. You demonstrate to Krishna a strong yes, and Krishna will take away the affinity. in his own way, in his own time, and we can't hurry Krishna. But with faith, we continue to move in that direction, and Krishna will help. That's bhakti. You can't do it alone. Just like one of those statements made here by Prahlada. One can't deliver oneself. So you're not trying. You're with devotion, and Krishna will see and examine. Do they really want me? And so keep saying yes to Krishna and to your capacity, the strength that you have. You take that yes to Maya and turn it into a yes to Krishna. Replace that yes to Maya with a yes to Krishna. And you do that consistently, and then Krishna sees. Let me give myself to them. I'll take away that affinity, because the affinity becomes exclusively Krishna. Ananya gatitvam. Those are the two phrases. Akinchanatvam, ananya gatitvam. Ananya gati. No other destination, no other gati than you. And consistently do that, Krishna will pick you up. As he picked you up from where you were before, the rest of the way. Okay. See the Prabhupada, see? Right.